Hello Movie Mavens! Welcome back to another video on the B Movie channel. My name is Bailey and I put the B in movies. As always, I hope you're having a wonderful week. For me, that Mercury retrograde is definitely Mercury retrograding. I spilled an entire bottle of hot sauce and if you're like, oh, did it shatter? No. The plastic lid fell off and broke, and that's how hot sauce got everywhere. So just crazy stuff this week, but I hope you're having a good week. I still have a lot to look forward to. I am going to some early screeners of The First Omen and Sasquatch Sunset this week, so I'm super pumped. I have a tattoo appointment coming up, so just trying to think positive, and there's no use over crying over spilled hot sauce, even though I'm wearing a Snow White sweatshirt, and fortunately it just got all over my legs and socks. So we'll take the wins where we can. So today's Bailey Babbles, I think I think it personifies how my brain works, because we have just a little bit of everything to babble about up top. The first thing being, in an unfortunate, not April Fool's Day joke, this was announced before April Fool's Day, Alamo Drafthouse is allegedly being shopped around for sale, and it makes me really scared for me, obviously, because this is my special place, but more than me, the staff, the Austin community as a whole, just the movie community as a whole, and I really hope that if it does get sold, if that is true, I know that Alamo's declined for comment. I think Deadline is the one who broke the news. I hope that things are okay. I just don't want to see that specialness of Alamo broken and turned into like some sort of chain. It would break my heart to see things like pre-shows, Terror Tuesday, Weird Wednesday, Dismember the Alamo, and Fantastic Fest, just to name the brunches, the Alamo Time Capsule, just all of these really special things that Alamo does. It would break my heart to see those go away. And I know a lot of people that work there, be it with Fantastic Fest, on the wait staff, just all throughout Alamo locations here and out of state, and I know a lot of them are very scared, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and I just really hope it works out for the best. And I just can't help but think, the older you get, the worse the song Landslide gets, as well as like Christmas songs like I'll Be Home for Christmas, because things change, and it just sucks to see a lot of things that you love and have these special memories with change. Like, I've lived in Austin for 14 years, and so as you can imagine, like, to see this city change and see some really special places like Holy Roller, Shady Grove, just all of these places that have so many memories for me over the years just go away. It's just hard. And so I really hope that whoever acquires Alamo really preserves its integrity and its uniqueness. And I guess we can all just hope for the best and prepare for the worst until we get more news. So on a different note, because of how my brain works, highs and lows, because of how my brain works. On a different note, so we'll start with what I originally wrote for this script this morning, and how now new things have kind of come up that have actually made me change my mind. So, my bangs we're just letting it. I have on like spandex bike shorts here. I feel very like volleyball player today. I'm specifically like that era of high school volleyball player. A lot of my friends in high school played volleyball. But anyway. So I'm going to start with what my notes were this morning. And then there have been some developments throughout the day. So we're going to kind of go all over the place. So originally, like this morning, I was like, okay, are Courtney Miller and Shane Topp married? Yes or no? And I am a 31-year-old woman, yes. But the rabbit hole I went down with the rest of the internet yesterday, we're just not going to talk about. because I went into the bowels of Reddit. The bowels of the Smosh Reddit. And I definitely thought it was a prank at first. I did. But the more time that has gone on, I don't think it is. And originally, like I had this morning, I'm like, I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 2nd, because I'm just, this week, I am uncharacteristically busy, like this week, next week, and the first half of the week after. Like, for me, I'm never, like, this busy, and I'm just, like, crazy busy. So, I was like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So then, Courtney posted again, and there are more wedding photos. And one of Shane's really good friends, Shelby Young, posted. And I'm like, okay, they're legitimately married. So I think that the joke is on us. I think that Shane and Courtney have probably been dating for years, right under everybody's noses. And that was the April Fool's Day joke, is I know that they are super shipped around the internet. And to be very honest, if I was shipped this much with someone around the internet and I did start dating them, I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing. And so I'm not going to get into all the evidence and all the theories, because I don't think that's fair to really, like, publicly talk about it. Am I part of the problem? Absolutely. Yesterday, I was down rabbit holes. I was on Reddit threads. I somehow got to a Tumblr post. I don't have a Tumblr. I somehow got to Tumblr. So I'm fully part of the problem. I have been texting with two of my friends about it. Fully part of the problem. Fully part of the parasocial problem. But publicly, I'm not going to talk about all the evidence. I'm not going to talk about the theories. I'm not going to talk about the speculation. All I'm going to say is, like, congrats to them. If it is a big elaborate prank, you got us, but judging by everything I've seen today, I don't think it is. I think that the joke is that they've been dating for quite some time. And the one thing I will say, a lot of the comments have been very funny that I saw in the live chat waiting on the Smosh Mouth episode yesterday. I've seen a lot of funny comments across social media, but y'all, at the end of the day, they don't owe us an explanation. They don't owe us a video about their dating life. They don't owe us that. And so, even though, again, like, I am fully part of the problem, my internet search history right now is so screwed up, because it is seriously what the algorithm is serving me on all these platforms. It's about Shane and Courtney, Dante's Inferno, and High School Musical. Two of those will make sense. Two of those will make sense in a few days. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's real, just judging by what I've seen today. I think it's real. And if not, again, they don't owe us an explanation. If we get one, that's awesome. If they're going to be vulnerable and say, here's what happened. But at the end of the day, they don't owe us anything. We don't know them outside of videos that we watch. So, congrats to Shane and Courtney. They did get married. If it is a joke, congrats, but I, just based on what I saw today, I do not think it's a joke. I think they are truly married. So, I think that is enough of the Bailey Babbles today, and way too much of a glimpse into how my brain works. So let's go ahead and move on to the blog roundup. So this week over on the bmovies blog, we had, on Monday, we talked about teen Shakespeare adaptations. 10 Things I Hate About You turned 25 years old on Sunday. Ugh. So I thought that having a teen Shakespeare adaptation piece would be a nice little touch. On Tuesday, we talked about Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel. The added bonus there is, I actually, for those who don't know, I was very unceremoniously rejected when I applied to be a critic for Rotten Tomatoes, and they sent me one of the worst rejection emails I've ever been sent. And you were talking to someone who has been rejected from a multitude of jobs, freelance writing, publications like this. and I've never gotten one this insane. So that email is actually in that piece. So if you want to see what Rotten Tomatoes said to me, which was basically, kid, you don't got it, check out that Hell of a Boston Aspen Hotel piece. On Wednesday, we talked about some of the most brutal unalivings in horror. I actually really like that piece, and there are some fun animal photos for you throughout to break up the scariness. On Thursday, we talked about my celebrity crushes. Like, I'll be very honest, I have been horny on Maine for a lot of celebrities. I've been writing about pop culture on the internet for a very long time, and I just thought I should go ahead and give you my list. And then today, we have a spotlight on Barbara Crampton, who, Queen of Horror, one of my personal favorite scream queens that ever has been, and I just love her. So just to recap, this week over on the B Movies blog, you have Teen Shakespeare adaptations, Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel, Most Brutal Unalivings, Celebrity Crushes, and the Barbara Crampton Spotlight. So, and I also will say, as a teaser that'll be an exclusive to those who watch the YouTube videos, coming up in the next couple weeks is one of my favorite ideas I've ever had for a piece, and what is, I think, one of the funniest pieces I've ever written. So, gird your loins and get excited. So next up we have Bite Size Sunday. For those who are not familiar, Bite Size Sunday, they're tiny little reviews that live over on our Instagram, which is just at bmovies channel, same as our YouTube. And so this week's hint is, I always thought CrossFit was a cult, but it turns out I may have been right. So that is your hint, and we will see you over on Instagram on Sunday. I usually post around 8 a.m., 9 a.m. CST, so definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. So now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, let's go ahead and do our deep dive. And this is a little bit of a unique deep dive because there is a piece on Cowboy Carter coming out Monday. I had to write about it. I had to, because it's so good. But I wanted to go ahead and talk about it today, so we will have another deep dive next week, but know that Monday there will be a Cowboy Carter piece coming. I had to talk about it today. I just had to. So, something that you may or may not know about me, I love 20th century country, specifically 60s and 70s country. Like old school country. Like one of my favorite songs of all time is Act Naturally by Buck Owens, who was a terrible human being. But Act Naturally is one of my favorite songs of all time. And so I love this like renaissance of 60s and 70s folk and country we've been seeing. We saw it a bit in Casey Musgrave's new album, Two Deeper Well, that I also loved. It's truly my favorite Casey Musgraves album, and I've been listening to her since the merry-go-round days, like the same trailer, different park days. And so I had a feeling that this Beyonce album was, it's Beyonce, so like I just had a feeling it was going to be incredible, and I still underestimated how good this album was going to be. And it is one of my favorite albums of 2024. I can tell you right now. I love Casey Musgrave's album too. Definitely would be in one of my favorites. But just Cowboy Carter is next level. And it feels like we're being guided through different parts of Beyonce's life through an allegorical Western. And each song, additionally, feels like a different piece of the West we're exploring. It's like an anthology series. And we talk about her dad. We talk about Jay-Z. The cheating is brought up. Her cover of Jolene, where she, is like, here, Dolly, here, Dolly, hold my beer. And completely revitalizes Jolene into this powerful anthem and just reclaims the affair. And it's just so good. It's cinematic. Having Linda Martell, who was the first Black woman who was commercially successful in Western music, and I believe she was also the first Black woman to perform at the Grand Ole Opry, having her included, having pioneers like Willie Nelson and Dolly Parton on this album, having in the Blackbird cover these young black country artists that are up and coming. It just, this album is so good for so many reasons. Lyrically, cinematically, the inclusivity. It's so good. It's so good. And if you haven't listened to Cowboy Carter yet, I can't recommend it enough. And right now, my top 5, which I feel like may change. Right now, my top 5 are Daughter, Bodyguard, Yaya, Two Most Wanted, and 16 Carriages. But Levi's Jeans is very close behind, and so is Alligator Tears. I also love Protector a lot. So, yeah, I can't recommend this album enough. It's so good. It's so good. So, just know a full piece will be coming Monday, but I'm like, I have to talk about this right now because as I started listening, I was jotting down notes. And I've listened to it. It came out Friday. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times there, at least since, and I love it. So, listen to Cowboy Carter. It's phenomenal. So next up we have special features, which this is just reserved for like updates on our favorite analog horror series, horror ARGs, everything in that vein. And so, again, we're a little in between stuff right now, but we do have a new Midwest Angelica video, and it's very good, and I'm very excited. So, let's get into it. There's a lot to unpack with it, and this series just, to me, just keeps getting better and better. So, we start with footage of what appears, at least to me, to be one of the towers that they've talked about people have been building. And then we get a title card saying Project Babylon from Home Delta. So we learned that this has been going on for like 12 years, both Babylon and Home Delta. And so from the beginning, we learned it's March 13th, 1999. And Dr. Robert Spencer he's our voiceover, our narrator through this journey. He guides us through the progress of Babylon and reminds us that Dr. Evans has been unalived. So we learn that Home HQ is over 75% assimilated, and these assimilated peeps, they give them the name Phantoms. So for the first time we have like a name for these entities, and they're calling them Phantoms. So Dr. Spencer tells us that Starkill has reached tower status, which I assume is the footage we saw at the beginning. And we know that those are what the assimilated build, because that was at the end of Act 1. And I'm not 100% sure if he's referring to what happened at the church. There may be multiple towers, but I think that he's referring to what happened at the church, again, at the end of Act 1. So we then overhear, through this beautiful animation, we overhear a conversation between Drs. Churchill and Spencer, wherein they discuss Dr. Stanley Vega, aka the topic of the last tape, Easter, which, funnily enough, we got this video Easter weekend. So we also learned that Home HQ is close to being fully assimilated and contaminated. And Dr. Churchill tells Dr. Spencer to bring Dr. Vega and his assistant, Dr. Ezra, to Babylon, but obviously to, like, not tell them that they're the baddies and, like, what the true intentions are, that Home HQ, yeah. like, don't tell them what's going on with Project Babylon. And they also mentioned something about a Lucas Michaels. I don't remember a Lucas Michaels being mentioned before. I may have missed it because I did not go back and watch everything. But I don't remember Lucas, but I feel like that's a name that we should probably kind of keep on our radar. So Dr. Spencer then conducts what are called sin tests on Drs. Vega and Ezra, and it's almost, to me, it felt like a Turing test of sorts, where they test to see if people have phantoms. They have the phantom blood within them. And we've seen, through cells and slides before how that works. And we find out Dr. Vega is not infected, but Dr. Ezra is. And they ask him, one of the questions that they ask him is why is about like volunteering at a church. They asked Dr. Vega, who's like, yeah, no, I mean, I grew up Catholic, like blah blah blah. He gives very logical and rational answers to all the questions, but Dr. Ezra, you can tell almost immediately something is not right. And I love this scene because for the sin test, it's like a close-up of each of their eyes, and it has this really cool like interface and gauge and like focus lens on. I just think it's very cool. I thought this is one of my favorite sequences throughout the whole video because I think it's very cool. And this is where Dr. Vega was more than likely infected, because in the last video we find out he is infected. That's when we get those crazy, creepy close-ups of his face. And it's this, I think this is super nifty. So anyway, the Home Delta crew wind up visiting Home HQ. Sorry, that sounded backwards in my head, but it wasn't. And we see how massive Starkill has become. And she's not cute either. And we also get these really cool graphics to represent the team as they move throughout Home HQ, which I love. And it reminds me a lot of the Dr. Evans interactions where they use like the dots in the maze, which I just love that. I love that sequence too. Anyway, unfortunately, as they're conducting the sin test on Dr. Ezra, at least that's what we can conclude, Dr. Spencer, who's been our narrator and, met with Dr. Churchill, becomes infected. And the only way that they can help him is to put him in like a cryogenic freeze sleep state. And so who I believe is Dr. Churchill, is talking to him outside this like big tower. And he basically tells Dr. Spencer, he was like, you can hear me, but you can't really do anything. We had to put you in cryo sleep because you have all of this information. You have all of this just like information and knowledge, and you have all of these firsthand accounts that we basically want to help you, but there's nothing we can do right now. And he lets him know that he is actually working on a cure that may not just be a cure for the infection, but it may actually provide immortality, which is wild. And so that's how our video ends, is with Dr. Churchill talking to Dr. Spencer about how they're working on a breakthrough. And something I would like to point out is that April 4th comes up multiple times in this video. So my guess would be we're either going to get the next video April 4th, or there's going to be some sort of update, some piece of content in the community tab, wherever, on April 4th, because that date comes up multiple times. And like in the last video, it was titled Easter. We got a video Easter weekend. So I would assume April 4th, maybe keep your eyes peeled. And again, like, I could rave about how much I love Midwest Angelica all day. I love how this series is evolving. I think the story is just so unique and so cinematic that I just feel like I'm watching a movie in small parts. And so, like, to the Midwest Angelica crew, y'all are doing a great job. And I also want to address, there was a post in their community tab about AI, and we talked about AI last week. I know I'm cynical of AI, but I personally, and this is just my opinion, allegedly my opinion, I don't know these people, I don't see an issue in the way that they said they used it, which was just to modify his voice. To me, I don't see how that is different from an analog horror when people mess with voice changers to make their voice sound inhuman or creepy. But I do want to commend that member of the Midwest Angelica team for making a vulnerable post, if I can talk. And I did see in your comments that a lot of voice actors seem like they would be really stoked to help out with the project. It seemed like a lot were offering their services for free. So I would definitely hit them up if you need any different voices. But I will say kudos for just making that post, because it was very vulnerable. and it was very honest. And again, I would check your community tab comments, because a lot of people were offering their services. And, you know, if people are going to work for free, if they work with the project, I think that's awesome. So, last but certainly not least, we have our subtitles for this week. And there are a couple of things I really want to talk about a little bit more than just the announcement. So, if you're new around here, subtitles are just little pieces of news across the internet about different upcoming projects, updates on films, updates on content, all that jazz. So, first up, Ready or Not 2 is allegedly in development, with Samara Weaving set to return as Grace. From what I've read, Radio Silence will not be directing it. I've seen a couple different directors thrown out. Like, I saw the director of Escape Room thrown out. I don't know if there's a confirmed director, but it does sound like Ready or Not 2 is in the works. It may be in the early stages of development, but it does sound like Samara Weaving is coming back as Grace, and that's all that I know. This is a developing news story. The trailer for the second season of Them, entitled Them the Scare, has been released. It looks so good. If you've not watched Them, oh my god, that show is so good. It's so good. Watch it immediately. Just watch it, because Them the Scare is out in a couple weeks, so definitely now is the time to binge the first season. It is going to be an anthology series, but I would still watch it, because it's wonderful. Leigh Whannell's Wolfman has been pushed from October 25th to January of 2025, so even though it's a bummer, I would always, for me, this goes for directors, content creators on YouTube, whatever. I would rather, if it's going to be a better movie, or you just want, if you just aren't ready to put your name on it yet, just wait. That's fine. We'll all wait. I promise we'll be here. And so, I'm cool with that. If it means we get a better movie, that's fine with me. So, this is the big thing I want to talk about. So the trailer for Crazy House has come out. And I was not aware of this. Actually, friend of bmovies, the Horror Flicks and Guitar Picks podcast. I'm sorry that I blanked for a second. My brain malfunctioned. I did not know until Tim posted about this. I did not know about this movie. And they've got it's starring Alicia Silverstone and Nick Frost, and it looks insane, and I'm here for it. It's the best way I can describe it is this very 90s wholesome traditional sitcom family gets their life interrupted by what appear to be some sort of mobsters, but it also breaks the fourth wall because there's an audience. So I don't know. And it goes from that 90s sitcom, you know what I'm talking about, that has that gradient to it, to a regular film. I don't know. It looks absolutely insane. It's giving Too Many Cooks. It's giving Greener Grass. A much more violent Greener Grass. That type of absurdist, irreverent media. And I'm ready for it. Because Tim and I were actually talking about this, and he was like, yeah, to get the cast that they got, this is insane. And I was fully agree. So I'm really pumped for this one. And this is also a developing story. I definitely want to see it, and so if I see it, we will probably talk about it, because just judging by the trailer, there's going to be a lot to unpack and talk about. So definitely check out the trailer for Crazy House, Crazy with a K House, and yeah, if I see it, or is there more trailers, we'll definitely talk about it. So last up, and this is the other thing I want to talk about, the Soska sisters have announced a sequel to Night of the Living Dead called Festival of the Living Dead that will drop on Tubi on April 5th. And it's, I believe, Ash, the title character, is the grandson of the lead from Night of the Living Dead, is, I believe, what it is. I believe that's the connection. And, like, first of all, I love the Soska sisters. I love American Mary. I love their Rabid. Personally, I love their Rabid. I watched all of Hellevator. If you did not watch Hellevator, it was the game show they had that was kind of like scare tactics-y. So I'm very pumped about this. I love the Soska sisters, and so I'll definitely report back on that as well. But I really like what they've done, and so I really can't wait to see what they do with this. And so I think this is a little bit shorter of a video, but I think we have some good stuff in here. So just, again, for those who don't know, definitely go over to bmovies.blog. The bmovies channel is a continuation of our blog where we drop brand new pieces every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And you can subscribe to get those straight to your inbox, or just check at 10 a.m. Sometimes WordPress and I get into a little bit of a tussle, but they're usually live by 10:15. Definitely follow us on YouTube at bmovies channel, just the same as follow us on Instagram, the same as our YouTube channel. My brain is like short-circuiting. Because that's where we post every Monday through Friday. We post the links to our pieces. The links to the B Movies blog live in our Instagram bio. That's where we post Bite Size Sunday. And that's also where we do a blog roundup every Friday. So if you miss the blog during the week, just check our story around noon Central Time on Fridays, and I do a blog roundup. Follow me on Instagram at Lisa_Frankenstein_. Follow Elliot at reading.with.red. If you are like, who's Elliot? Elliot is my editor and co-collaborator / co-founder of B Movies. She's one of my best friends. She's, my gal Friday. And so I just do the on-camera part, but Elliot does a lot behind the scenes. And yeah, be sure to subscribe. If you aren't subscribed, we drop brand new videos every Friday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Give us a like if you feel so inclined. Leave a comment if you're feeling frisky. It is all free. And we talk about all kinds of stuff, not just movies. We talk about, throughout this video, we talk about things like whether Courtney Miller and Shane Top got married, and how I went on a Reddit deep dive as though I was trying to solve a true crime story. So we talk about all kinds of stuff here, just all things pop culture. Like I always say, I'm just a silly goose who writes about pop culture on the internet. So I think that will do us for today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Like I said, subscribe if you're not. It is free. And all that's left to do is fade to black.